What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Today we're going to be installing this Sony MEX-XB100BT stereo with Bluetooth Sirius XM radio on my 2001 Jeep TJ. I've already started disassembling a little bit here. Forgive me for that. First step, you're going to want to pry this off. It's kind of the top of the dash here. Small screwdriver under here will work. Just pop it up. It hooks here, hooks here. There's a couple places over there. It hooks as well. Pops out easily. Be careful. My Jeep is 16 years old and things are fragile and you don't want to break that plastic. Second thing you want to do, once that comes up, there are two screws up here. These have already been taken out in this piece. And then there's one screw down here behind that ashtray. Once you get those out, you just give this a good tug. Once again, this has already been loosened up. So you take that out and then we're left with this beauty. So we're going to go from here. It's going to take me 2 days. It'll all be done in one video. You guys won't know the difference, but I had to get some parts and pieces to make everything fit, make the Sirius XM radio work. So all that stuff is on order from Quadratech, as well as a new replacement subwoofer for the factory housing there. So that's a 6.5-inch speaker. It's nothing great, nothing super powerful, but it will it fits. I don't have to cut or drill or anything. You just turn a couple screws. So now I'm going to work on taking out this console. All right, so I took the two screws out of the stereo here, and so then the next step is to take the glove box out. You just have to unhook this little strap here from your glove box. That strap slides into that slot, and that should free us up to get in there and remove the security bolt that's actually holding that radio in from the backside. Also, if you take a look behind the dash here, you'll see these two clips, little nuts retaining basically the anti-theft bracket. That's what's screwed into the back of the stereo system. So I'm going to unhook those and maybe get a little bit more play behind here where I can get up in there and be able to take that bracket out. Maybe that'll help me out a little bit. Alright, well, that is out. After screwing with that, it popped right out after I got the bolt that connected the anti-theft retainer, which is this piece. Alright, day 2 of the Jeep stereo install. I've got my battery unhooked here, clean these terminals up. This battery's just about shot anyways. So what I have to do is I have to run the wires from inside to outside to directly power this stereo. So all I'm going to do is just hook up my positive wire here just onto this battery terminal. I'll screw that on once it's hooked to the battery, and that should have power. I'm going to feed it in here somewhere through the firewall. I'll look, and there should be some things coming through the firewall right around through here, somewhere close to the battery, which will help me keep my my cable short. I did get a cable with an inline fuse. The stereo unit has a fuse built in as well. It's a 15 amp fuse in there. So this unit that I bought has a 20 amp fuse. I bought a fuse to change that out with though, just to have it be the same that's in there, a little extra protection. Never hurt. So yeah, I'm gonna go open that box up and show you guys what's inside the box. Alright, so what do we have here? Okay, so first off, this is the power supply that plugs into the radio. This comes equipped with the radio from Sony with a 15 amp fuse in there. Again, that's why I went ahead and changed this one out to a 15 amp fuse. It had a 20 amp fuse in there, and it was pretty cheap because when I went to pull it out, the little plastic cover came out and the fuse was actually still in there. So 15 amp fuse, it's in there. This end is the end that will plug onto the battery. And I've got, I think, 18 feet of cable here, and this is only 12 gauge wire. Should I have went with heavier wire? I say no, because if you look at the unit that comes from Sony, this wire here is I mean, I'd say that's probably what, 16 gauge. I'm not 100% sure. It's pretty small, but having said that, I'm going to strip these and I've got some connectors I can use on there as well. I also got my stripping and crimping tool here. So yeah, got some heat shrink as well, just to help all that, just keep everything sealed that I cut, ground wire. But yeah, so that's the reason I went with the 12 gauge wires, because these wires were so small, so there's no use. I mean, I can't realistically put 8 gauge wire in here or something even thicker than that and then splice it into that. It doesn't make sense. So I figured I could get by with the 12, so I went with that. Some zip ties. So anyways, I'm going to find a hole through the firewall and I'm going to feed this through. Alright, so now as you can see, I've got it run right here through the firewall. Now I'm just connecting it to this. I'll go ahead and, after I get that tightened down, I'll zip tie all that stuff up and clean it up and get that in there permanently. But I'm going to tighten this down. I don't think you guys need to see me use a ratchet. If you do, comment. I'll make another video if you're that mechanically not inclined. Anyways, I'm going to tighten this down and I'll show you where it runs through the inside of the car in a second. Alright, so this is what it looks like inside of the glove box area here. It's kind of just strung up along that. You'll notice I put some black tape around it where it makes contact with anything. I don't want it rubbing through the red wire. I don't think it would anyways. I just feel like that black tape will just give it a little extra buffer, kind of like a grommet would, but the kit did not come with any grommets. So anyways, it's run all the way up through here. Now comes the tricky part where we have to connect it to this. Yellow is the positive, black is the ground. I need to get rid of the tips on here, and then I'm going to use the ones supplied in this other kit. Also, I'm not sure if I said this before, this is only 14 gauge wire on here. That's another reason why I went to 12, because you can butt those up fairly easily. And the amp that's built into the stereo is only 100 watts, so this is plenty of wire, plenty of power. I'm only powering a factory sub, and then I'll probably switch out the speakers in the sound bar and in the dash right here. So no worries, this wire should be plenty. All right, so now you can see the connector has been put onto the stereo piece, leading the piece that will lead into power input. Has been clamped on to the yellow, which is the positive, and the black, which is the ground. So I'm going to heat shrink it. This looks the same way. So I'm going to heat shrink it, then I'm going to tape these up, and then I'm going to prep the ground and the stereo wire. So with the stereo, I'm also going to be running Sirius XM, so I had to get the tuner set to go with it. My radio is compatible. It's not built. Well, it's built for Sirius XM, but it's not made with it in there. You have to have the tuner and everything with it. So here's the tuner. I'll unbox this and let you see what's in it. So here's what's in the tuner box. You have the tuner itself. This is the cable for it that plugs in the back of the stereo. This is the antenna. A lot of people put these on the outsides of their cars. I've had Sirius XM in here that just runs through the cigarette lighter and then through the just FM airwaves, and it's always just sat up here. So I think that's what I'm going to do with it. Save me from running some wires and stuff I don't really need to run. So I'll just have it sit up there on the defrost dash vent, and then if that doesn't work out, I can always come in here. I've got enough cable, I can run this thing anywhere. The bad thing with the Jeep is, where are you going to put it? This is magnetic. It goes on the outside of a car. Am I going to run it, you know, up front there? I can't put it on top. So right here should be fine. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right, so the new in-dash kit came. The quick connectors, which aren't going to be so quick, came, and the replacement for the sub. But right now, this portion of the video is going to be dedicated to the wiring. So I don't have enough quick connects. Well, first of all, they sent these two quick connects connected to the actual plug for an older model Sony stereo. So what I have to do is I had to cut it off, strip the tips of the wires that you can see there, and then I have to wire it up to the thing that actually came with the stereo. So luckily, I did not throw my old head unit away. It's got everything you need to know. Right rear, left rear, right front positive, all that stuff. So I just have to coordinate that with the diagram in the book. I'm going to get to soldering that. I also have pre-cut shrink wrap on there. I'll shrink wrap that once it gets soldered together. And then we'll plug it in, see if it works, and then we'll start installing the rest of the stuff. So real quick before I get to soldering on this stuff, I know that this is the right connector because I can look at that. I know this is a speaker connector, but I can look at that where that little hump is on the top. And I can look at that and it tells me that's where I am. So what I want to do is I want to find the right rear negative. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to find my right rear, purple and black striped. So that's what I'm going to wire to the one that I find right there first on this one. Happens to be a purple wire. Alright, so there's my first connection. That doesn't look too bad. It's just going to be a little time consuming because then I have to hook up that piece and make sure I get my shrink wrap on there as well. So I'm going to flash to that and it'll be done. Alright, so here's our harness. I haven't zip tied anything up. I shrink wrapped over these and then taped over them. The tape job's not the best, but whatever, it'll work. So I also put little caps on the wires that I'm not using and taped over them just in case I want to run an illumination wire in the future, or there's also a second antenna wire here and a power wire which we're not going to use because we're powered by that bad boy. I'm going to hook this up, we're going to turn the key and we're going to see if it works. Alright, it's just placed there for now. Let's turn the key. There we go. Turned on. Alright, source, tuner.
So let's listen to it. This is Paul and the Tall Trees with Crack a Job.
Seems to be working. Turn it off. Yeah, that's source. You hold it for off. It's off. Turn it on. It's working! I didn't screw it up. Cool. Alright. Auxiliary cord, Bluetooth audio, Pandora, I don't have that. Bluetooth phone, Sirius XM, I gotta hook that up. Tuner. It's fine with me. Well, that is awesome.
Because we don't have the funds.
Alright, well it works. I'm happy with that. Now let's just install it in the dash. Alright, so now we have our dash insert. I took this metal piece, it slides off of the stereo itself. It slides in the front of this, and then those tabs that look like little airplane wings, we have to bend those down to keep it from coming out. So I'm going to do that now. Long story short, I've got all my wires and stuff zip tied up here. Sorry for the glare, the sun's pretty bad today. So my Sirius XM box right there, zip tied to the AC duct, my ground wire and direct connect to the battery, the power cables, zip tied to that as well. I've the fuse block is zip tied to that so it doesn't rattle. I use a lot of zip ties. I've got my Bluetooth mic cable fed through there, so that's actually plugged into the stereo. Wires run here, Sirius XM cable run here. This is the antenna wire I need to hook onto that actual unit there, so I'll get that plugged out of the way. But the next time you see this thing, I'm just going to connect all these cables. I'm going to slot it in, screw it in here, because this is already in the casing, the dash mount, and then we'll turn it on and see if it works.
Subscriptions, you get your first 6 months of our best package, All Access, for $50.
I didn't screw it up.